Welcome to the Quip Corner. In 1984, UNESCO, which stands for United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, declared October the 5th to be World Teachers' Day. So I'm creating a special Quip and Convo segment in which I'll be discussing one of the quips in my book with a teacher. You'll see her bio right after this. Yes, she's become a familiar and friendly face in the Quip Corner. So I look forward to hearing her perspectives on the school. It gives me great pleasure, Miss Anna, to welcome you again to the Quip Corner.
Ada, you are so generous to share your visual time, your audience, with those of us who have an opportunity to write books, but may not know how to get the word out. And so thank you for having me again to talk about your books this time and how they inspire other educators.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. You're so gracious. So I had shared with you a couple of quips from my third book.
Ooh.
And you chose quip 55. And the interesting thing about it is that's the picture that goes with quip 55, the one at the top. So I'm going to read it out and then, just tell me what you think about it, please.
I already like it.
That's a good start.
Okay.
So it says, be a good student. Remember the lessons learned from any tests you go through. Applying them appropriately is evidence of wisdom and growth.
Ooh. We not have to learn the lessons, pass the tests, and apply them to life. I thought this was a children's book. This is something that goes for grown-ups as well. Yeah, that's something that we encourage our students to do. But now that I am retired, I've had the opportunity to mentor early career teachers. And that quip is one that I probably should just post on our website. Would you read it again, please?
Be a good student. Remember the lessons learned from any tests you go through. Applying them appropriately is evidence of wisdom and growth.
I'm thinking this probably is most useful to teachers when we remember what it was like for us to be on the other side of the desk, when we were the student, when we were the one who needed someone to appreciate what we brought to the classroom. Not that we appeared as empty cups to be filled from the wisdom pitcher of the teacher. In fact, that's one of the images that it took me a while to, I would say, get rid of. It's true that I began teaching with a master's degree, not with a master's degree, I earned it once I began teaching. But I came with more knowledge than my students in my content area. And I thought that was enough. But in the early years of my teaching, I learned it took more than knowledge of content to be able to teach. And last year during Teacher Appreciation Month, the writing group that I mentioned that I've been a part of asked us to talk about, in a poem, some experiences we've had as teachers. And I ended up thinking about my early years of teaching and who it was that helped me get through those tests. Sometimes we can take a test But
Yeah,
if we fail the test, it's only a failure if we don't learn something from it.
I agree.
And that's what your quip reminded me of. We've got to do this. And this poem
Yes.
is called True Confessions. That was a magazine that we were not allowed to read as elementary school students. We found copies anyway, but this was called True Confessions of a Retired Teacher. I must confess, I made a mess. I wore heels to look like it feels to be a professional teacher. I showed up with my knowledge, eager to fill each student's cup. I was the teacher with my pitcher, ready to fill each empty cup. It was much later I learned it was not my job to fill them up as a professional teacher. When they would write and not get it right, I would scold and they became bold.
Mm.
I left the room in tears, refused to return because of my fears. They'll never learn from me as a professional teacher. An older teacher mentored me. Very gently, he explained, you see, you must honor them, teach them how, not just what to learn, but how. Holy cow. Inspire them to learn, and your efforts they won't spurn. Get off your high horse, get back on the course, and you will become a professional teacher. As I've moved from state to state, it's not always been so great. Moving around has been my fate, but I learned it's okay to wait as I became a professional teacher. Now, years later, I must confess, despite the mess that I made, I learned to teach them through the process. I'm learning not to stress about dress. We're learning how to learn together. The stormy times I've learned to weather as I've become a professional teacher. True Confessions of a Retired Teacher.
Thank you. That's a beautiful poem. And even as we celebrate all our teachers, you know, October 5th is World Teachers Day. We celebrate all our teachers, whether or not they're retired, because once a teacher, always a teacher.
And I wish I remember the name of the man who came to my aid. He taught mathematics in a room across the hall from me. And I remember him standing between me and my classroom because I was crying. And he only comforted me by telling me, you can do it,
Yep.
but only if you go back into that classroom, learn who your students are, learn to work with them,
Yeah.
not assume you're there to show them everything. And I don't remember his name. God knows who he is, and God's going to bless him for being a blessing to me. I appreciate it.
Amen. And God is going to bless you for being a blessing to me.
Well, what goes around comes around. And you have been a blessing to me because you've inspired me to reflect on what it was like to be a teacher, to read your quips and consider what it means to be a learner with those I've been hired to teach so they can learn. I appreciate you. I appreciate your work. And I just am thankful for you.
Thank you very much, Miss Anna. And need I say, see you in the Quip Corner again?
Absolutely. I'm getting comfortable here. Okay.
Just the way we like it.
That's
Thank
the way
you.
we like it. Bye-bye.
Bye now. It was really nice to hear Miss Anna's perspective on the quip in this book. And I didn't even see it the way she did when I was writing this book for tweens, teens, and 20s. She's absolutely right. It's a quip that's applicable to all of us and even to teachers. I didn't even think about the perspective of teachers putting themselves in the shoes of a student being open to learning. But that's why we have to have an open mind and keep learning every time. I also enjoyed listening to her poem and how some wise teachers are inspiring their students by celebrating the accomplishments or achievements of others who are like them. Whatever you need to do, please do it so you stay inspired and you keep learning and applying your learning. Thanks again for joining me in the Quip Corner. See you again soon.